Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for millenniums, not millenniums, millions and millions of years, the earth has given us its own resources for remedies. Right? When did we lose trust in the earth's ability to cure us all? And as the great Greek physician said, Hippocrates, he said, you know, nature itself is the best physician. Today, welcome to You've Been Weathered, and today's guest is a woman that I really, really admire and I've got so much respect for, and a real getter, and also a pioneer up in the land of the brave, up in Scotland. She put together this beautiful cafe called the Hemp Room Cafe, and she's Claire Watson. And welcome to You've Been Weathered, Claire.
Thank you. I'm loving
Claire,
it.
When did we lose trust in the natural ability of the earth and its remedies?
Well, I don't think it was that long ago. I think we had trust in this plant up until maybe about 100 years ago. It's very, very recent, the stigma that has attached itself to this plant for me. You got to remember that you know, a long time ago, hemp was part of our daily diet. We were secondary consumers of that plant. Every field was covered in it for fiber, for grass, for crops, for the cattle. Cattle eat the hemp. Cattle gets, you know, brandished for meat, and we are secondary consumers of that. And I think it wasn't that long ago, Ed, where it did start to get a stigma attached to it. And obviously coinciding with when, you know, big pharma and all of that stepped into play, the rules, regulations and policies surrounding marijuana and cannabis in the UK, coming into the 30s and 40s and 50s, prohibition really did put a stopper on it. And with the generation subsequently after that, I feel that that's just been media propaganda and all of that. You know, we have lost faith in it. We've lost complete faith in it.
I mean, the confusing thing is, I mean, if you saw my desk now, it's just like full of pieces of paper of little bits of research that I've tried. So much sort of information. Mm-hmm. But what's come out of it, really? I mean, there's so many interesting things come out of this subject, but the thing that sort of confuses me a little bit is the FDA and the federal government of it. We know why. Why. So what's standing in the way of that message from the FDA and the federal government?
Right. So everything, the FDA, the government, and all the policies and that, there is progress. That we've not hit a massive brick wall here. There's slight progress being made with this, and being made with the research and everything that's surrounding the cannabinoid industry. You've got to remember that the UK, we were actually the first. I had to write this down actually because I had to make some notes.
No, great.
The UK was the first country in the world to regulate CBD, and which is really ironic considering when you have a look at the rules, regulations and policies surrounding the use of this plant. The UK was the first to regulate CBD, and that kind of demonstrates to me progress in a way that the country is. We do want to move forward in a certain way, but for me, in my opinion, it's not the way that we should be moving forward. The FDA, you'll have maybe read things about novel foods and things like that.
Can I just say the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah, that's right. And they're basically in charge of everything, and they're run by. There must be somebody sitting up at the very top of that just you know, decide whether or not to give us the best. And you, I'm not a politician in any way. You're the political, person. I'm not political in any way. But I think there has been progress made in this country. There was something I read in the Daily Express, left-wing papers and things like that. They're talking about decriminalising it as a drug and moving it from a class, I think it's a class A now.
That's the THC element of it.
That's the THC element. The psychoactive compound, THC, is tetrahydrocannabinol, and that's what gives us the high and the psychoactive effects of it, whereas CBD, is cannabidiol, and that's the non-psychoactive component. There's over 120 components in one plant. And what the FDA have done and what the government's done is they've legalized half of it. They've legalized half of it. So that kind of tells me that they're dangling a carrot. It's a very sinister way to look at it. I realize that, but they're dangling a carrot in front of us by we are making progress. It has been slow. And at the moment, the UK is getting a carrot dangled in front of them about the safety surrounding this plant, in my opinion.
And obviously there's a capitalistic sort of element to them decisions as well, isn't there? With
100%.
Because although you say that Britain are sort of in front with legalizing this stuff and all that, there's so many states in America that have accepted it as a pharmaceutical, really, haven't they?
Yeah.
As a natural.
19 states to be exact, and California was the first. It was either Denver, Colorado, or California that legalized it first. I can't remember which one, but 19 states in America. Canada's went full live now. Thailand, I hear, has went full live. It's very strange to me there's only one country in Europe that's legalized it, and that's Malta. So out of the whole European countries, Malta's the only one that's legalized it, and one state in Australia. I know I did say we're making progress, and I did say that the UK was the first to regulate the CBD, but I find that completely ironic, because what they've done is they've regulated the CBD, but they've not looked to our friends over the pond to see the real guts of the work that's been done. There's been work done over in Canada where they've actually watched the THC cells kill breast cancer, THC compound kill breast cancer under a microscope. Why? What is going on here? They need to legalize all of it so that they can have a true picture, and they can do proper clinically controlled research and in vitro and in vivo trials to find out exactly what this is doing. There has been a couple of really positive news things come up over the last 2 or 3 months that I've noticed, and that it is starting to get put under Scottish microscopes to see exactly what it does. But I think it's long overdue. Yeah, I think it's long overdue.
Yeah. Now, I mean, at the moment in this country, obviously because of circumstances, there's actually a lot of mental health sort of issues going on, with all this COVID, with money, with everything, which sort of leads me to you, because I remember speaking to you years ago, and you was going through quite a tough time inside your own head with, I don't know, I can't remember if you was using pharma medicine or whatever, like whatever they're called, what are they called?
The benzodiazepines.
Benzodiazepines and all that. So, I mean, with regards to the actual progression within your life of CBD, I mean, how did you sort of get from that stage to actually putting together an absolutely beautiful business, which we'll come onto a little bit later? Tell us about it, Claire, where you was at and what actually. I mean, it seems crazy to go from like Valium and diazepam and all that to CBD,
Yeah.
Go on. What was the pathway?
Well, it's my story really started in India, Eddie. My story began in India. I say to people, I was born in Scotland, but I was made in India. And my story really begins there. Back in my early 20s, I went thinking I was a very cultured, travelled and knowledgeable young woman. And then I go to a place like India and all of my expectations of myself get absolutely blown out the water. I discovered LSD, I discovered psilocybin and what these, I'll call them medicines now, what they can do and what they were able to do for my psyche. And I learned a lot. And using the LSD and cannabis, I think it gives you a sort of, we'll call it a psychological flexibility to look at things and evaluate things in a different way to what you would perhaps have evaluated them pre-psilocybin and all that sort of experimentation. And I spent a few years out there. It was wonderful, and I met a few amazing people. You know Ricky and
hello Ricky.
Hello Ricky.
Tat tat tat.
I was on the call, and Tat as well. I was on the phone to Ricky yesterday for about an hour yesterday. It was beautiful. They're just people that you never ever lose contact with anything. And
I had some fun times with Ricky and all that out in India, man. It's crazy. But anyway, we died. Yeah. We do that.
That's a completely different podcast.
Absolutely.
And I met loads of wonderful people, and I was in a bad way, with the acid and everything, and we've all had kind of similar experiences, but I was in a bad way head-wise with the acid. And the one man that I would say the cafe wouldn't at all be standing if it weren't for this man, but my best mate over there, Jeff Shanti Baba, he's a guru. I would call him a guru. And he pulled me out of a lot. He was able to say to me a couple of times when I was in that hole, that paranoid hole of overwhelming sense of inadequacy, low self-esteem, all of that because of the life I had been living here before I was awake, before I realized that, a sense of self-awareness and an awareness of people around me. And you know what I'm talking about, that connection that I was severely lacking because of the lifestyle I had back here, because I didn't know anything.
Consciousness, really, the pure consciousness.
Yes, consciousness. I didn't have any. That.
Well, you had it, but you just didn't remember you had it.
Lack of due diligence, we'll call that. We'll call it lack of due diligence. And Jeff, my mate over there, he pulled me out of a lot, and that guy was. If it hadn't have been for him and the experiences that I'd had there, the Hemp Room Cafe would never have got built. That everything that I put into that was everything that was kind of made in India. It was my own self, that cafe. Sadly, it closed the doors on the 13th of August for many.
But what I'm trying to get to, really, because it's a beautiful picture that you're painting now. But I remember you being in such a bad way inside your head. You know what I mean?
I was in a very bad way. I was out.
You come back, sort of thing.
Yeah. I came back and I got into an abusive relationship, and you and I were in touch during that, and it was an extremely difficult time for me. And I was diagnosed with PTSD after that, and that's the point where I think we're just getting to now.
Yes.
Sorry for rambling.
No, it was beautiful. And I could sit and talk about India all day with you.
Me
but
too.
The point is, really, I really want people to know that you have suffered what you've suffered to get better from this stuff you're promoting,
So when I got diagnosed, the doctor, he tried to throw 5 or 6 different tablets at me to take that I would probably be on for probably still today. And I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2017. He tried to put me on all these different pharma medicines to stop night terrors, to stop flashbacks, all of these things. And I just chose not to do it. And I said to him, I'm going to do it on cannabis. He said, have you got any, CBD oil, cannabis oil? And it was the same. I got told the same as so many of my clients after the fact have told me that there's just not enough research on it. And I said, well, do you know what? I says, I'm going to do the lot on cannabis. I says, you can stuck that medicine right up your bazooka.
Your arsehole.
Yes, your arsehole. So I'm going to do it on cannabis. I says, I'll see you in 6 months. He said to me, you're not going to be here in 6 months, Claire. A doctor actually said that to me, that I wouldn't be there in 6 months. 4 months later, I was in his office and I wasn't presenting with one symptom of PTSD, and I'd done everything on cannabis. And it was just purely through the experiences I'd had in Goa and my own research. I got up off my arse and done the research myself, because I wasn't taking the doctor's words for it anymore. I wasn't subscribing to this bullshit that there's no research getting done on something that's thousands of years old. As you said at the very beginning of this interview, thousands and thousands of years old. When did we lose the faith in it? The doctors have lost faith in it. Any clinicians have lost faith in it. Politicians have lost faith in it. And we've got to kind of get to a point where, the point that I got to say, no, I know exactly what can help me here. And when I started taking that medication, I started doing a degree. Do you remember when I was doing the criminology and psychology degree? About halfway through that, remember, I got bored shitless. This isn't what I want to do. What's my passion in life apart from my children? And the answer was cannabis. And I thought, I'm going to build a cannabis cafe. And I got laughed at. I got warned. I got laughed at. But I don't listen. I don't listen to anybody. I think if you've got this drive inside you, you've got to keep going. You've just got to keep going and not fucking listen to anybody that's trying to tell you to stop, because nothing gets done otherwise. And who are you? You lose yourself. You start listening to everybody that tries to dumb you down. You lose a sense of who you are. And when you lose yourself, you don't have anything. And I had already been through that and lost myself and done all that.
And you had children as well for all this as well.
Exactly. So what example would I have been setting to my kids if I'd listened to all these people that had said to me, you can't open up a cannabis cafe in the UK, it's this, it's that. Well, no, it's not, because I've ended up helping hundreds of people through it. Sadly, the cafe's not there anymore on the 13th of August. Many reasons crippled us. And I'm still doing what I do, started something new, and it's finding, it's like when a snake sheds its skin all the time, or the butterfly comes out of the cocoon, it comes into something more. You're constantly growing, and you have to keep constantly growing. And now the cafe's gone, I actually feel like I've been in this cage for a long time and not able to speak the truth and not able to do, fly my wings and get to the festivals and do all that. Now the cafe's not there. I've got all that freedom to do that.
Absolutely. Now, while you're at the cafe, I mean, I just want to come back to this CBD again, because I know you like the joint anyway, and I know you've always smoked sort of the weed, the plant with THC.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously, CBD oil hasn't got that THC in it. Do you think that alone would have CBD oil alone would have pulled you out of them doldrums, or do you feel that there's got to be an element of THC within all this stuff, which is what the government are scared of, really, and what people were scared of? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. And for a long time, I felt that THC and CBD. THC helps with symptoms like anxiety, depression, things like that. From my experience working in the cafe and my own self, I know I've always enjoyed a joint. For 24 years I've smoked every day. But about 2 months ago I just decided to knock it on the head. Now, wow, I'm still taking a wee puff back and forward. I'm not going to say never again, but at the moment in my life, THC is not helping me, because I know, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor in any way, but I feel the mental health side of things, the CBD is much more beneficial for mental health than the THC.
Wow.
And, people always say to me, I've got high anxiety, I'm feeling depressed, I feel stressed sometimes, I like a joint. I don't think the THC helps anxiety. And there's going to be a lot of people out there shouting at the screen at the moment saying, you're talking a load of bollocks. But
I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not, because I think these people only shout at the screen saying to people that they're talking a load of bollocks when they've not experienced it all, you know, and you've always been an avid promoter of weed, and you still are, because it's the plant sort of thing. But in you saying about this THC comes from a different mouth, you know what I mean, to these other.
Yeah, it's different. It's the psychoactive effect for me using THC when I was anxious, it got me worse. I got paranoid. I had feelings of low self-worth. And that's coming, I'm a 44-year-old woman, you know, in the prime of my life, 2 kids and all that. And cannabis for me, it just went kind of full circle. And I love the plant, Eddie. I love the plant, and I will always be an advocate of it, and I love it. I just don't feel like smoking it at the moment. CBD is much better for mental health, and this is what I've started to kind of talk about. Before in the cafe, there was certain things, spilled my Coke over the carpet there.
Pepsi
Cola. For all that time, I had been promoting THC as a way to relax.
Do me a favour. Where's that can that you got?
It's down at my feet.
Hold it up. Turn it round. Right, Coca-Cola. Hold it up. This lady's looking for a van for her next mission. So there we go. Look, there's a little bit of product placement there.
Come and sponsor me, though. It'll be sold to a good crowd, let me tell you. I'll be a very good crowd.
Yeah, go on, my love. Carry on. No, I mean, what we was talking about really is, so what you're saying really, because the danger is really, because you've got these young kids now of like 14, 15 smoking all this skunk weed and just this.
It's
and
wrong.
Their little brains. I mean, can you give us some sort of logic about how a brain is forming as a teenager that can be affected by this sort of stuff that they're smoking these days, with the psychosis sort of element of it?
Well, that is a massive subject, and a lot of people think that cannabis actually causes psychosis in later life. It doesn't. The human brain doesn't stop developing until it's about 21, 22 years old. And when the human brain's developing, male, females, we go through puberty, 13, 14, 15 years old. There's lots of things happening in our bodies and in our minds at that time. There's lots of, you know, neurotransmitters trying to fire up together and link up. If you add a psychoactive substance into that, when all that mixing pot is trying to collaborate and come together in your body to produce the self, and you add a psychoactive compound into that, you're opening up a can of worms there. And that is why a lot of young people who are choosing to use cannabis now, 14, 15, 16 years old, are having a very, very bad time of it later on in life. It's through lack of education, it's through ignorance, it's what they're picking up in the home, their peers, their social groups, lack of education in schools as well about it. And that is the main crux here that I think you've touched on. It's causing psychosis. Psychosis was there already. The psychosis was there already. Cannabis came in and cannabis comes in and enhances it all. If you are a balanced, you know, I was going to say that if you were a well-balanced human being, but I've not met one of them in my life. No, I've not met one of them in my life. And I think the trouble with kids today is they just want to go out and get fucked. They just, and I mean, and up here, they just want to go out and get wasted, right? They go out, they get their carry-outs, they've got their weed. There's kids at private school along the roads, it's 10 miles away from me. The kids there are using cocaine in 6th year. Cocaine in high schools now. I would have been absolutely terrified at my mother and father's reaction when I was at the school if I had went and done that. The problem with the kids now is it's lack of education. Then they're bored. There's nothing
and lack of opportunities as well, I think, with especially in the working class environment.
Oh yeah.
You know? I mean, we know these middle class people that work in the city are banging out on their cocaine and doing everything what they've got to do because they can do it and they can afford that. And that's the reason they do it, is because they've got money. But the young working class people of today have been so disenfranchised about everything that there are no rules, really, is there? Why would they follow rules when the people that make the rules are just turning them against everything that they need to be, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. And that brings us back to the double-edged sword about the CBD and how it's regulated in the UK and how the UK was the first to do that. It brings us right back to that problem. The original problem is they never legalized all of the plant. They've only legalized half of it. So these young teenagers are using the internet for, the young people use social media for many different reasons, totally different reasons to what you and I use social media for. You know, it's a different world in there. They have access to all this information with regard to CBD and it's legal and all that, but they don't have access to the proper relevant information for the THC side of it. They're going out the weekend, they're getting a bottle of Buckfast, you know, a couple of grams of cannabis, they're getting fucked up on it, and then later on they're having difficulties with paranoia, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, psychosis, things like that. So it all boils down to the lack of education, and the way the government is regulating this is completely wrong. Completely wrong.
I remember when I was locked up in prison, and I got hooked on these, I forget what they were called. They were Danners, and they were like little green rugby balls with liquid in the middle of them. I forget what they were called anyway. And
sounds like tramadol or something.
So I don't think it was tramadol, but I think it was as powerful as that. But I got totally hooked on them because it was the only way to lose the reality of what
was happening,
what I was living in, really. And it worked that way. You know, I'd swallow these things. I swallowed Mogadon. I swallowed these Thiazepam, I think they were called, something. They were a pan. And it seems to me now that, I mean, we were locked up in jail doing that sort of thing. So there was half a little reason for doing it, for losing reality sort of thing, because there ain't a lot of, I don't know how many people read my book and know my story about why, you know, I was locked up in it or whatever. But it seems to me that the kids are actually doing this stuff in freedom. There is no reason for them to do this apart from losing reality, because there is no future for them, really, a lot of kids these days, you know. And the government are all this Tory government. I don't want to get political about all this, because this is not what this interview is about. It's about you. And by the way, you're presenting yourself absolutely beautifully here, absolutely beautifully. So I mean, look, I read something about this, so I'm going to read it now. Where is it? I've got to find the bloody thing now.
You're about as organised as I am this morning.
No, it's there it is. It's got to be here. I mean, sorry, people, I'm about as organised as a fucking, I ain't organised at all. But it's about cancer, you know?
Uh-huh.
And about people who are using CBD. There's been a lot of surveys and a lot of trials with people with cancer for pain relief of cancer and stuff. But it's only showing a promise rather than people saying, right, this is doing this for this disease. But the stuff they're using is sort of one part THC and 1 part CBD.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a case for that one as well, for the mixture? Is there an equilibrium that we can get where we can get the best of both worlds, Claire, or is it just one or the other?
No, there's definitely an equilibrium where you can get the best of both parts. When it comes to heavyweights like cancer and the heavy neurological diseases, we have
MS,
cancer.
I've written some down, arthritis.
Fibromyalgia as well, you hit on fibromyalgia. The doctors didn't even believe that thing existed until a few years ago. They thought that was all in somebody's head. Then they thought it was musculoskeletal. It's not. Fibromyalgia is a neurological condition, exactly the same as Parkinson's, as Alzheimer's, as dementia. Correct. And all of that. The neurological conditions, this is the wonderful thing about it, right? The human body is full of receptors, and when it comes to neurologicals and big cancers like that, we've got receptors all in our bodies to latch onto this cannabis. When you put cannabis inside you, your body just gives it a massive big cuddle. The same as when you're thirsty, you have something to drink. When you're hungry, you have something to eat. When you're ill, we should be taking this. And when it comes to the cancers and the neurologicals, we have receptors all over our bodies, CB1 and CB2. You'll have read about them if you've been doing a bit of research the last couple of days. There's even backup ones. They're called anandinoids, specifically for grabbing that THC. Now, the cancers, we have been seeing a lot of the medical clinics now popping up in the UK. Now, there was some on BBC News around about 2019, 2020 time. They're called Sapphire Medical Clinics. Really, really good concept. Really good concept. And we touched on this earlier when I spoke to you on the phone. They're handing out CBD oils. They're handing out weed, CBD weed, and cancer treatment, cannabis oil ratios of 1-to-1, the Sativex that we spoke about earlier as well. For me, I think it's wonderful what they're doing, and I don't want to get into much trouble here. So I'm going to be careful. I got a lot of people come to the cafe that were clients of these clinics to find out about the plant in its true form. Because when they were going to the clinics, it was basically just general practitioners and nurses. There was no cannabis specialists at all. And they were coming to me to get a bit of extra information. Now, I pulled up some analytic reports for Sapphire Medical Clinics, and some of these clinics, medicine, albeit it is cannabis oil they're giving out, and I'm not taking that away from them, but it's not really that strong. Now, to use for a clinic, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place in the cafe, Eddie, because I had to adhere to certain rules and regulations of my job that I was only allowed to talk about the benefits of CBD. I could introduce the whole plant, but it was very, very difficult to try and amalgamate that into one thing for the client. Now, the job I've got now as a cannabis consultant, and I would say that's what my job is now, the government's made it extremely difficult by regulating half of the plant. It's made my job difficult. When it comes to cancer and things like that, the ratio for that, I would be wanting to give the cannabis oil, full pelt cannabis oil, 90-100% pure THC oil, along with a high dose of CBD. And that's what I would be wanting to do. These clinics aren't doing that. And I would go back to what I said earlier about the government's dangling a carrot in front of the faces of people that are extremely ill. If I get somebody coming to me that has cancer, and I'm noticing we got a lot of cancers in over Christmas time last year. We've noticed cancers moving from stage 1 to stage 4, from stage 2 to stage 4. And would you believe it? This is another thing maybe I shouldn't say, but these people with the cancers that have jumped from stage 1 to stage 4 and stage 2 to stage 4 very aggressively, do you know they've all been vaccinated? And that tells me another story as well. It tells me that there's a lot of shit going on that we don't know about. There's a lot of things happening that's going down that we can't fully step in and help these people that are ill. Because, again, I feel like a broken record here, going back to rules, regulations and policies surrounding it. For me, cancer, I would just want to tell somebody the minute they get the diagnosis to get a 3-month plan into them protocol. I always refer people to the Ricky Simpson site.
And we're not saying that this is a cure. This is a pain.
No, I'm not saying it's a cure. I'm not allowed to say
it's
cannabis.
It's a pain relief, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It's a pain reliever. I've got to say that. I'm not allowed to say it cures cancer, even although I can refer my clients to other websites across the pond that they will have, solid concrete evidence that it has cured the cancer.
Yeah, but that's like anything really, isn't it? It's a percentage game, isn't it? But what we're promoting now, really, more than cures, is pain relief until there's 100% sort of proof that it is a cure sort of thing. So the pain relief is fair enough at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something here, and they're not going to mind it. If they're watching this podcast, they'll know that I'm talking about them. I'm not going to mention their names, but I'm going to say something here that I'm working with a very special couple of people. One of them's a very special lady, and she has an 18mm tumor behind her left eye. They found it in 2013. This lady has battled breast cancer. There's not just health issues. This lady's a warrior. She's 62 years old, 61, 62 years old. She's an absolute warrior. She had an 18mm tumor behind her left eye. I met her in November, and I was advising on the whole plant here, and she started actually taking the cannabis oil in February. And for some rhyme or reason, along with homeopathic remedies, I will say as well, because she's in touch with this amazing homeopathic doctor that's trained in the motherland, where we've both been in India. She's trained there for years. She's a wonderful lady called Carla Carmichael, and she's working with this special lady, and I'm working alongside her as well to advise on what she's doing. And that tumor has stopped growing.
Wow.
And that's in 4 months.
Wow.
Now that lady had the option in front of her.
And that was an aggressive tumor.
It was benign, but it had been steadily getting bigger. When I found her, we managed to stop that. Now, there's only one more direction that can go in, and that's back the way. But we can't say how that tumor stopped growing. I have another gentleman that's his PSA counts, we got that down to 0, you know, and it's left in his bones, and he started using the actual THC cannabis oil, because I've got to advise him that. What was really annoying was I was sitting for 3 years in a cafe, and I wasn't allowed to tell people how to fucking make themselves better. Sorry.
No, it's passion, man.
I wasn't allowed to tell people all about this. I had to make sure what I was doing was within the guidelines. And now, as I say, I'm out of the cafe. I'm getting rid of that. I'm telling the truth. I'm not sitting there saying only CBD can help you. I'm sitting saying, no, here's the evidence for your particular case, whether this lady has, whether I'm being called to a home consultation for fibromyalgia or mild anxiety or a stage 4 aggressive ovarian cancer. I will advise that person with relevant and non-biased information that's individual and selective to their particular case. And that's what my job as a consultant is. So if I go in and meet somebody with a stage 3 cancer, stage 3 prostate cancer, say, or anything really, bowel cancer, I've got to refer them to a website that I know has all the information that I'm maybe not allowed to give them under the UK laws, but this website has, and that website is called Phoenix Tears, and it was by a man called Ricky Simpson. That's who cannabis oil is named after. We're not allowed to call it RSO oil because he won't affiliate himself, you know, with it. But he discovered it and it cured his skin cancer, and he started growing it and giving it to people for free. So we can use his website as a reference, thank God, and advise on that. You know, we're not encouraging any criminal activity or anybody to go out and break the law. But
listen, define crime, define it, define criminal activity. You know, I mean, crime is perfectly acceptable in legitimate business deals. You know, so define.
Yes, it is
crime. You know.
Yes, it is. But if my little boy was to get diagnosed with brain cancer tomorrow, God forbid, I would be a criminal, because I would definitely go out and get him the medicine that I know will save his life.
Yeah.
And there's been so many people sitting in front of me. I've had everything sitting in front of me, from child trafficking to rape to cancer cases, to kids that are taking 30, 40, 50 seizures a week for epilepsy.
Wow.
But because I'm advising and I'm the criminal, these people are going out. In the eyes of the law, would you believe that a mother is a fucking criminal trying to save her child's life? I mean, that's where we are. That's where we are.
But that's so sort of, it's just, there's a logic to why that is criminalized, you know, because these corrupt politicians, these corrupt corporate pharmaceutical companies, this gets in the way of their profit making. That's not crime what you're doing, but the rule makers who make the rules deem this as crime, where they can just dismiss beta blockers, Valium, diazepams, and all that, and it's totally alcohol, cigarettes, ban cannabis, a weed that grows from the earth. Alcohol, no, let's promote alcohol, let's get everyone drunk, let's get everyone paying tax. It's so monetary. And what you're
let's make it cheap in supermarkets as well. Let's make it cheap.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, Chuck. How do we define crime at this present time in this world? You know, there is none. It's just surreal. It's the ego world rather than the consciousness that we were talking about earlier, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's ironic that the world is run by criminals. It's ironic that we've got to go out as you know, as mothers, as people that we have in our families that we love and care about, that are really, really gravely ill, and as people, and as we've got to go out and commit the crime to try and get them that medicine.
Yeah,
it's well, I don't know what to say.
Well, no, what you're saying is, I was just looking over, I'm still trying to find, oh, there it is, look, there it is. I was saying about cancer. I know we've done this, but this is the thing. It says, look, CBD may help reduce some cancer-related symptoms. And this is an article online by a woman called Julianne Kubala.
Yeah, I read it. It was a brilliant article.
Right? And this is online. It's not us making it up or something. Everyone, and it's called the healthline.com.
Yeah.
And just to go back with that little bit of cancer stuff that you're saying, look, CBD may help reduce some cancer-related symptoms and side effects related to cancer treatment, such as nausea, vomiting, and pain. An older study looked at the effects of CBD and THC in 177 people with cancer-related pain who did not experience relief from pain medication. Those treated with an extract containing both compounds experienced a significant reduction in pain compared with those who received only the THC extract. So this is what you're saying, that mix is necessary, isn't it? Yes, and that's absolutely from the website. That's not me and you just talking about our personal views. And everyone's welcome to go to healthline.com and look at Julianne Kubala's.
She covered a lot in that, didn't she?
Everything.
She covered so much in that article. It was brilliant.
Just Parkinson's and cancer and multiple sclerosis, arthritis, epilepsy. They talk about Charlotte's Web, you know, the Charlotte's Web thing, which is an important thing, isn't it? Do you know about that?
Yeah. I've just got to put my hand up. I'm a bit ignorant with that. I just found out about Charlotte's Web and the properties only 12 months ago.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. The Sativex, what we were touched on earlier when we were talking about the cancers there, because we're digressing everywhere here. But
sorry.
It's all right. It's me too. It's, you know what I'm like on the phone, bloody go everywhere. Can't hold me down to one subject.
Well, it's something that you can, I mean, it's so big.
Massive.
I mean, it's big, even as much as sort of like heroin addiction, you know, it helps you withdrawal symptoms of heroin. And I'm just so conscious that I want to get all this information out there, and I want people to know that when they see you in your little van driving about all the festivals and everything, that you are such a
I can't wait for that, by the way.
Dedicated person to this subject, and a knowledgeable person, because I know over the last 5 years, 6 years, you have spent every single day of your life with your head in this, you know, and that's colossal, Claire. That's absolutely colossal. Absolutely colossal. And I really hope people listen to this interview open-mindedly, you know, and look at you for what you are. You know what I mean? You're not trying to be anything other than a carer for the country.
Yeah.
and the people that are not well in this country.
I just want people to wake up. I just want people to wake up. But what I'm going to say, there's a couple of things you touched on that I would just like to reply to you about.
Just crack on, baby.
So what we were saying about the cancers and the CBD and the THC working together, the NHS are actually giving out medical cannabis for 4 different reasons. Now, one of them, when it comes to the cancer, it's not to treat it, it's to give it to the patient that's suffering from nauseousness effects of the chemotherapy. That in itself is very sinister.
Wow.
That in itself is extremely sinister, that they're not giving it out to people that need it. They're giving synthetic cannabis out as well, and the Sativex out, which is not as strong. They're just not doing it right. And that's what brings me, they're not doing this right. They have to. I wrote a letter to Nicola Sturgeon about 2.5 years ago. And you know how much I love her.
I know.
And anyway, I wrote her a wee letter. And I was, I said to her,
The wee cranky.
The wee cranky. And wee nippy. Oh, anyway, I wrote her a wee letter and I said, look, I know you're really busy. I know you're really busy woman, but I'm really busy as well. And I'm going to tell you why. And I wrote her a letter saying, what's happening here? What are you doing? Do you know there's people dying here? And she couldn't even be bothered to write back to me. She got her health secretary person to do it. And they just passed the buck right down to your lot in Westminster. They just passed the buck. But she didn't want to know. And I was trying to say that this has to be looked at. This drug reform policy must be looked at. There's people dying. When I'm sitting, I remember a woman, I remember quite vividly, came in and told me that was she 9 or 10? I can't remember the exact age. 9 or 10-year-old girl was having 25 seizures a week. 25 seizures a week. Now, as a parent, you've got 2 boys, your boys are up now, and I can't imagine one of my children having absolutely no quality of life, as myself, and you're having to sit and watch this child to make sure they don't die.
My God.
In effect, she was sitting every day making sure her daughter didn't die. She couldn't work. Her and her husband were carers of her. She had a very rare form of epilepsy. And they went away with the advice that I gave them, and they came back about 2 months later, no, maybe 4 months later, and they'd got the little girl medicine. Now, I'm not going to go into what they got her.
Yeah.
But the seizures stopped. They didn't reduce down. They didn't go down by 10%. She didn't end up having 10 a week, 5 a week. They just stopped. Now, you're not going to tell me for 1 second that this does not work. You're not going to tell me, you're not going to try and convince me that what we are doing here is a complete and utter fabrication and a waste. It's a conspiracy theory. It's this, it's that. You're not going to tell me that. I've had people sitting in front of me and I've had to advise them on certain things. And this new business that I'm doing, it does that. It's let me spread my wings. It's let me do everything I'm wanting to do.
Let's crack on with this new business, Claire. Come on.
Yes. Yeah, we need to crack on. So
with this business, let's get everything that we need, where they can get hold of you, where they can do absolutely everything.
Yeah, my new business is called Alternative Solutions, and it's a holistic approach for the mind and body, because everything that I learned in the cafe, I want to implement it and move forward in a much better and more freedom of speech way with it. And what it does is it's a private consultation service. So if you're in trouble or you got anything wrong with you at all, you got to worry anything, you contact me, you email me at info@alternativeholisticsolutions.com. We don't have a website yet because I'm just trying to find my feet with it. And it's a very, very precarious and risky dilemma that I'm in with this at the moment because of my job. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's time we did, eh?
Yeah.
So what we run is a private consultation service for anybody that wants to get in touch. I go out to your home, or I can meet you for a coffee somewhere, or you can come to my home and I'll make you all the cups of tea you want. And we sit down and we talk about your issue, and we talk about how basically we can help you, what products we can use to help you. I'm stocked up with CBD products, oils, right down to weed. What you were saying about addiction, heroin addiction, I've got lots of addicts that are on my books that are coming off heroin, that are on methadone, that are really, really trying, and they're making real progress, that smoke CBD weed, and they buy the CBD weed from me, pre-rolled joints, CBD oils, everything. So I go into the house and I basically say, right, But it's brilliant.
Fantastic.
It's great. It's like a mobile kind of cannabis doctor,
Ken
but I'm not a
Casey.
doctor.
Ken Casey, like the merry pranksters. Which, no, God.
So I go in and advise, and I advise on the whole plan. And if I've got to go back for a consultation, I'll take all the information that I've gathered for their individual case and circumstance and go back and say, right, this is what I think you should be doing. This is what I think you should be using. And we'll provide that, or we'll facilitate that. And that is part of my job, is that. And there's not another service like that anywhere in Scotland. I know for a fact there's not. And the beauty of it is we get to work all the way through the winter, because I know there's going to be loads and loads of sick people this winter. Everybody's stressed out their dial with this cost of living, the COVID, all of that. We have all of these problems, you know, all this shit that we've got to deal with in our lives. And I'm here for you guys.
Right. Now, listen, say there's a sort of generous billionaire looking at this.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
That might be thinking, oh my God, you know, this sounds absolutely amazing. I'd love to throw a couple of £1 million into this little venture.
Oh, you know me, I'd just buy a bigger snack van, Ed.
How can they, say, for instance, there was like a few millionaires or billionaires or anti-establishment people that sort of are suffering, have got people that are suffering from these ailments that you're saying, and they wanted to chuck £1 million your way or whatever, where would they contact you now today?
Well, you could just give them my number, darling.
No, but if they're looking at this to have, you know, because there's probably, you know, there could be people that would just do this anonymously, you know what I mean? To say, there you go, love. How would they contact you and say, Claire, I'd like to give you £2 million today? Where would they contact you?
Well, they would email me at info@alternativeholisticsolutions.com, or they can find me on Facebook, or they can, my page on Facebook. I don't have many friends, 40 or 50 on my Facebook page, but I'm still on the Hemp Room Cafe and Shop page. But if they went on that, they would see the Alternative Holistic Solutions logo. I'm terrified to make up a new Facebook page at the moment, Ed, because I've got 3,500 followers on that page, and I'm terrified of losing them all. I'd have to build it all to get them back. But if anybody did want to contact me, that is the service that I provide, and I would be more than happy, you know me, to sit down and give them all the information that they need.
Because what you're doing now, and bringing Ricky back into it, God bless him, you know, we can't promote Ricky enough, really, can we? In life, really.
I'm trying to persuade him to hook up next year for some, you know, to do the festivals with me, but he's flying back to the motherland.
Well, this is what I wanted. Where's he flying back to?
Flying back to the motherland. He's gone back to Goa. In
his little apartment in Moorgym.
Yeah, get up to his house, get a chat with him, get the kettle on.
Okay, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be out there at the end of the year. Yeah. But, right, what you're going to do? Your next. It's not a progression, really. It's like I said. I mentioned that Ken Casey, and I said that quite in a jocular way, but really there was a little bit of sort of seriousness about that. You know, where people who don't know who Ken Casey is, he used to have this bus, and they were called the Merry Pranksters, and they just used to go around America in the 60s giving people acid. Yeah, you know, free acid. Not the
me and Ricky could do that. We could do that, me and Ricky.
No, that's
happy to help.
But what you're going to do now is you've got such a funky wagon at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
A funky wagon.
It's gorgeous.
But you just need a van to pull the funky wagon.
Yeah.
And you're going to visit all the festivals next year, yeah, Claire?
Yeah, I'm really happy to say that we got from March till the end of August. I've not done them all yet, but from March to August, it's looking quite full now. A couple of weeks ago, when I did a wee introductory video for the new business, I only had 2 or 3 hooks in. Now I've got about 7 or 8, just getting in touch with them. And the first one is a little small one. The loose plan is to get through the winter time doing the consultations, because we know there's going to be a lot of people need help over the winter, whether it's mental health. So we're going to push on through with that over the winter time. I was offered to do the German Christmas market in Edinburgh, starting from November right up to January.
I heard Prince Charles is selling Brockwurst there on a stall.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Go on.
Anyway,
Go on.
oh no, let's keep the royals out of it. I'm in such a good mood today.
I know. Let's stay out of it. Let's stay out of it. Stay out of it. Go on, the market.
Yeah, I got offered to do the German Christmas market this year from November to January, but we don't have enough prep time for that. So we're going to stick a pin in that, and we're going to be happy to visit it next year, because that's 6 weeks solid work, like going to war. It's 150,000 people go through there every day. And yeah,
and you're going to cook CBD food and shakes and
all of that
consultancy, and just like
it's going to be great. It's going to be
absolutely here and there.
Yeah, it's going to be magnificent, because every festival that I've been to, I took my kids to Doon the Rabbit Hole this year, and every festival that I've been to, Ed, does not have a hemp infused food stall. There's no cannabis leaf.
There will be now. There will be now.
All right, we're going to get the business model trademarked. They'll have to come to me, pay for it. Right?
It's already done. It's already done. Yeah, go on.
So over the winter, we're going to do the consultations, and then hit next year in March and get the festivals done. So we're going to be bringing alternative solutions to festivals, and that's either going to be, depending on the size and what mood I'm in, we'll either be doing products and or the catering. So we're going to have, you know, if you see us at a big one, the van's just back from Glastonbury last week. He's had it down in Glastonbury, so it's had its legs. It's been run in, you know. It's warmed up for me for the summer. And depending on the size of the festival, we'll either be doing products and or the catering. But the catering side of it, we've really kept it simple, really simple, because you know, we don't want to have a menu of 10, 15, 20 dishes. It's at a festival. As long as it's hemp infused and it fills people's tummies up, the party people, party food. You know, the party food in the chai mats up at Hilltop and all that. I'm doing all of that, but infusing everything with hemp. Shiva Valley, oh God, I miss it so much.
Monkey, the jungle, the monkey. What was it called? Monkey? In a little jungle.
There was Dolce Vita, Shiva Valley, there was Curly's, there was Hilltop, Monkey Valley.
Monkey Valley, yeah. Shiva, yeah. Just stop for 1 second, right? Keep that smile on your face.
Go on.
So the new consultancy thing with...
Yeah.
No, I'm just worried about... I've talked to you afterwards what I'd be worried about with Anyway, it don't really matter. You're so right. The point is now, right? I've completely lost track of
You've lost track of it. Who's been smoking the dope this morning? Me or you? It's not been me, I swear to God.
So what we're saying at the end of all this really is that we need... Who do we need to get involved?
We need somebody awake. We need somebody
who do we
awake.
Need government-wise to get... It's never going to happen, is it? No government are ever going to get on this, are they? In any way, shape or form. Green Party, Green Party maybe?
Well, the Green Party have got its whole set of problems as well. The Green Party have got a whole different set of issues. A few years ago, it was the Lib Dems that were going to do it for us. Right. Liberal Democrats was the party to watch 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. Now with the SNP, but her head's still too much in bloody... the detaching from the UK, making Scotland independent. Her head's still stuck in there. She's not interested in all of that. What we need is a very forward-thinking and open-minded politician. Now, I'm not sure if I've contradicted the whole lot there. Open-minded, forward-thinking, and politician. I don't know if they all go together. We can just keep praying that they do, because this compound, this compound THC, what we were talking about earlier, working the two compounds together, the entourage effect. They're legalizing the CBD side, but not the THC side, which is crazy because there's people dying, and it's the THC that really help, apparently, according to research across the pond, cure cancer cells, help with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, all of the neurological illnesses. I started a company a couple of years ago called Ultimate Hemp Limited, and I told you about it, and I got the NHS on board. I was working with this fantastic guy called Stephen Kelly, and he was a clinical research manager from the NHS, and he was helping me find a team of clinicians that were as crazy as me to do this, because I was going to be the first female cannabis farmer in the UK.
Correct.
The cafe got into trouble, so that had to take a bit of a back burner.
Yeah.
I was working with this fantastic cancer nurse down south called Hazel Craig. Any cancer document that's ever come out in the last few years, her name's been attached to the bottom of that document, and it's all about cancer, progress it's made for treating it. And she's a massive advocate of the plant. So if there is a multi-billionaire out there, I can also send them the Ultimate Hemp Business Plan, because that's the daddy, that's
Perfect.
the big one. We need to get this out in the open.
Perfect.
I want to help people through this. I want people to see that they don't have to listen to the doctors. They don't have to follow the advice that, you know, they can think outside the box, and they can get off their arse the way that I did and find out for themselves their own information that's relevant to their own case and their individual circumstances. And we need politicians out there that's going to open their bloody eyes and see what we're trying to do here. And if they do see me at a festival next year, giving it large and selling my thing and doing my stuff, I hope they come over and talk to me, because I will answer every single question that they have. And any time that they try and shut me up or silence me, I'll come back with something else to tell them they're wrong, because that's what I've been doing for 3 years. And I'm so grateful to you today to be given this opportunity.
No, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. You ain't got to be grateful. And you know, it's an honour to know someone like you is knowledgeable about all this, because we have all this information from people that deem to know this sort of stuff, but they don't really, you know what you know. And I really hope people sort of take all this on board, right? And before we end, because, you know, well, I told you it'd go fast. We've had nearly an hour and a half here, you know.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that's went that quick.
You know, so what I want to do before we end the interview, I just want you one more time to just give your little details out again, Claire, please.
Okay, right. So you can email me at info@alternativeholisticsolutions.com. Or you can get in touch with me via my own private email. I'm not going to give that out, but you can go for the info at alternativeholisticsolutions.com. We don't have a website just yet, because, as I said, I'm finding my feet with all this. I'm in talks with a friend of mine that's in Tenerife. She does the bacon cakes with the cannabis oil. She's in touch with some of the most popular clubs on Tenerife Island. I've been invited over there to Tenerife next year. BDL want to talk to me, which is the largest cannabis club on there. They keep opening and shutting and opening and shutting with the laws over there, and it's people, countries like Tenerife. What I'm trying to do here would be really well. She came over to visit the hemp room, and she says, "You've got to do this in Tenerife." And I thought, Tenerife, but she's doing really brilliant work. She's overwhelmed with bacon work. Lisa is. She's an amazing woman.
Whereabouts in Tenerife is she? I'm off to Tenerife in November to make a film.
Oh, are you? Well, I'll get you hooked up with her, because she's amazing. She's on the south of the island. She's about half an hour away from Los Americas, and
we're going to be there. We're going to be around that area.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's brilliant then, because I'll put you two together. She's a wonderful person, and she's done this work for years, baking with cannabis to sell it to the cannabis clubs on Tenerife Island.
We'll do a video together.
I would love to see it. It would be a laugh. You get a good laugh with her, I'll tell you. But the cannabis clubs in Tenerife, it's all recreational purposes. There's no medical side of it the way that I was doing it in the cafe. Yeah. So they've invited me over for a wee chat. I know how that'll go. I've got a feeling in my head. I've got the business plan in my head already, what I'm doing there. And I'm going to go over for a wee chat and see what commercial properties are available and all things like that. It's worth going over to have a look at. So I've promised her, but it's got to be in between the beginning of June, which we've got a festival the beginning of June to do, right into the second week of July. So I'm hoping that 3 or 4 weeks I'll have a bit of sun on my face for the first time in years, to do a bit of work as well. So yeah, there's lots. I've had so many opportunities, believe it or not, since I've closed the business. There's been so many opportunities came into me since I closed that cafe. And it's ironic because the cafe was the kind of monument, it was a testament to all my beliefs and, you know, everything. But now it's gone. It's like a whole new world has opened up for me, and a whole new world has opened up for the possibilities of how we can help people. And that's the most important thing.
And you deserve the sunshine on your face, Claire. Now, all I've got to say is the immortal words is, thank you very much, and you have been weathered. Yay!
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you so much. You're amazing. I love you.
And you
Thank
also.
you so much.
So people, right? This is Claire, right? This is Claire. So I hope you dig this, what she's been saying and everything. And also sort of try and subscribe to this, to our channel, You've Been Weathered channel, because we've got a few more little podcasts coming up in the next few weeks. And I'm not really sort of bothered about throwing it all on Facebook and everything, because the establishment get hold of it and they do what they want with it. So the only way we can get these beautiful interviews like the one we've just done with Claire out is by subscribing, you subscribing to us and going that way. So really, Claire, I love you, and I know you're going to be an absolute success, and I can't wait for the funky wagon, and I just can't wait for the billionaire to
you watch what you say, because if I come down to festivals down south and you're not working, I'm going to drag you on to work.
I'm there.
It's all hands on deck.
I'll be in the van with you, Claire. I promise I'll be in the van with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Watson.